Welcome in, my friends. 5 minutes with Sean, maybe 10. We are here, middle of November. It is time to get cranking towards the end here. Today's going to be a mental health Monday, and it's going to be around a topic that is not any fun, but has just been coming up everywhere, which is loss, my friends. Loss of a human, loss of an animal, loss of a job to a lesser extent, but similar extents. Sucks, right? Everyone knows it. Everyone knows it. If you're not following Erica Bruno Martin, you should. She's gone through some serious, profound loss in the last couple of months, and she's put the journey on LinkedIn. And I've seen some comments about this being a business site, and I'm going to stop people short on that shit. Business is life. Life is business. I try to separate the two. It's hard, but at the end of the day, if that's where people feel comfortable sharing their feelings, being vulnerable, giving that emotional side of them, that raw side of them, let them do it. And keep your business opinions to yourself. Because at the end of the day, I think any of these platforms are good for letting people know how you feel. Good, bad, or indifferent, right? Facebook's for bitching. Twitter's for fuck knows what negativity. Instagram is for scrolling and learning. TikTok is for dancing. LinkedIn is for business. But everybody does something different on every single one of those platforms. So let's start there by letting it be okay for anyone and everyone to be vulnerable when they feel it and to say it where they say it. Because I don't think it makes a difference. And I'm tired of this idea LinkedIn's only a business site. I've been sharing this podcast now for 397 straight Mondays on this very LinkedIn network, okay, and our YouTube channel. 397. Let that set in for a second. Were all of them business? Fuck no. Were all of them about something that was thought leadership? Not at all, okay? Because the platform is about expressing yourself in the way that you can do it. So I don't want to get too sidetracked on that. I spent enough time explaining my behalf there. That's where I'll leave it. Let's move forward about loss in general. We've lost some great ones. Mike Carguy Carrera, Bobby Heron. I lost Sean Butler a few years ago. I lost a good friend of mine, Steve Paskowitz, a few years before that. All automotive guys. I got a couple of friends right now in automotive that are sick with the big C. We're all in the same age. We all have the same lifestyles, and it's scary. Scary. Okay? I'm not going to sugarcoat it. This shit is scary. But it can't be all that we think about, right? So like I can't wake up in the morning and be afraid that this is the last day or anything like that. So when I start to look at loss, and I've dealt with some fairly profound loss in my life, as has everyone, and I'm not special to anything. What I'm saying is how we deal with it. And I think that dealing with it publicly, dealing with it privately, however you grieve is your business. And no one should tell you how to do it. And it's tough when I see people giving other people feedback on what they've been through. I've done it myself where, oh, well, here, this is what I did during loss. And, I've stopped trying to do that because that isn't what this is about. This is everyone's individual reaction to something. And time goes on. Time does lessen how those things feel. There's no doubt about that. But it doesn't go away. It doesn't stop. And it pops up in the weirdest fucking ways, the weirdest times. I mentioned my buddy Steve Paskowitz. I love this man to death. He was just an unbelievable human being. Car guy, yes. Human being, yes, right? Huge dog lover. Had a couple of prize Rottweilers. These guys were the Michael Jordans of show dogs for Rottweilers. And his whole point was to let people know how soft they were, how gentle they were, how wonderful they were. And so along the way, one of the things he had said to me was, hey, man, when you get to be my age, a little bit older than me, he said, and you want to have dogs, you'll end up with a minivan. And so recently, the wife and I rented a minivan for a family road trip to take our dog and our cat. And I just started laughing because we were like an hour into the ride. I'm like, I get it, Stevie. And it was a little bit emotional. I let it come back into the brain. I sort of absorb all of those feelings about that individual. And so, yes, loss now, this was 4 years ago. So loss now 4 years later can bring a smile to my face. Sure, it might bring a tear to my eye, but it brings a smile to my face. And remembering people in a positive light and the good of the good of the good is the best I can do for me in that situation. For instance, I have both of my first dogs, MJ and the dude. They are up all over my house, everywhere. They're in my office right now behind me. They're up in my kitchen. They're in my bedroom. They're everywhere. And every time I see them, I think of a different memory, or I think of a different situation. Or if I look at them before we head out on a hike, I think about on a hike or on that hike, what they did, how they were. And it brings smiles. It brings positive reverence. And I like that. And I think the reason that loss sucks as much as it does is for the inverse. It's because we love as hard and as much as we do. And for me personally, I wouldn't change that. I wouldn't change loving life, loving the people in my circle, giving 120%. I wouldn't. I would not change it, because the appreciation that I have when folks pass is because of the life that I was able to have with them before that. And so it's not easy. I'm fortunate I still have both my parents, but don't get it mixed. I don't have kids, so that's officially the next worst day of my life as far as losing my parent. And my dad got real sick this last year, and it was fucking scary. It was scary, but I have over the years recorded hundreds of hours of our conversations. And when he got sick, I just went back to the folder and I referenced one from, this was like 2018. And it was nonsense. I recorded everything. And it was already able for me to say, I can see how this will look potentially. Now, a lot easier said than done because he's still here. But when it starts to get you to think, and you start to look around, and then you start to look at yourself and your life and how you've lived. My dad always said to me, hey, as long as you can look yourself in the mirror and say you gave it your best shot, that's all that matters. And I think I've done that. I think I'm doing that. It doesn't make it sound like we're coming to an end here. We're not, but I've done that. And I'm going to continue to do that, because that's my guiding light. That's what as long as I can say that about myself and what we have around us, and I can feel good about trying to do that, I think it's fair. But I do really wish that people could find a way to not judge others in their time of grief, in their time of loss. And I don't know what brings it on people. I don't know if it's someone else's own shit, which is likely it is. But I've seen a bit of it recently, and I don't care for it, because loss is the most profound thing we'll likely deal with in our lives. Whether it doesn't matter, loss in general. And I know for me that the way that I remember and the way that I hold dear is what will help sustain me in the darkest of dark hours, because I've been there. I've been there. And I know that feeling, and I know what helped me move forward. You don't get out of it. It doesn't go away. That's not how this works. It dulls, it lessens for a time, then it pops back up. But being prepared, being positive, and putting love into the universe, I think, is about the best thing we can do for each other. So I apologize for starting your week a little bit lower than we usually do on this show, but it's something that's been on my mind, something that I've seen a lot of, and I wanted to get out in front of it and address it. So my friends, thank you so much for giving me the 10 minutes of your day to start. I look forward to you joining me again next week. We're going to liven it up a little bit, and we're going to get into the swing of the holiday season and the appreciation that comes with it. Thank you all so much. We'll see you again next week on show number 398. Coming up on 400 soon enough. Have a great week.